That's extremely true for the 10 people you're about to read about. Most of those men suffer from some kind of medical condition that causes them to be the way that they're. But what there are some of the weirdest men in the world. The type of people that, if you saw them walking down the street, you'd never be able to get the image out of your head. And for the person who hasn't had a bath in 60 years, you'd probably also never get that smell out of your nose. However, he's just one of the many characters that make up this list. Some people on Earth are completely different from USA, maybe being different makes them normal. We've created a list of 10 incredible men with unbelievable physical characteristics. Some are popular for their strength, some for weakness, and a few for their choice of life. Thus, let's see 10 men around the world you'll not believe are real. When you think about what life would be like as a little person, your mind might go to Mini-Me. Yet Chandra Bahadur Dangi would even have to look up to him. Chandra is the world's shortest man, at a height of just 1 foot, 9.5 inches. It's hard to imagine, but Chandra was living a normal life when a wood contractor noticed him in his village and decided it would be worth telling the local media. As you will have guessed, Chandra was diagnosed with primordial dwarfism. Let's hope he didn't have any aspirations to play basketball. An accident is responsible for Carlos's appearance. After flying through a windshield in a car crash, he landed on his head, crushing the upper portion of his skull. The accident caused such a lot damage that doctors had to chop out a large portion of his brain to save him, and yes, he's still alive. That looks some kind of miracle. Yu Zhenhuan is a Chinese man with lots of body hair. In fact, it covers around 96% of his body, which means that he looks a little bit like a bear. However, when Yu was first born, no one could ever have known that he would eventually grow up like this. Yu had hypertrichosis, that causes the hair growth to work double time. The condition is also known as the Wolfman disease, and it's believed that people in the past, unable to know why a person was so hairy and totally different from anyone else, created the Wolfman myth. Yu has never been able to avoid the public eye. He has featured in many TV documentaries, and there are several videos of him on YouTube. However, Yu has not let his uncommon condition alter the way that he would have lived his life. He has a girlfriend, and has created his own website to host images of him and his hair. He's determined to become a rock star and needs to become famous for something other than his looks. While Chandra hopefully didn't have hopes for the NBA, maybe Leonid would have fared a bit higher. At 8 feet 5 inches, Leonid was easily thought of to be the world's tallest man. When he was only 14 years old, Leonid needed brain surgery, and because of this, a tumor started developing on his pituitary gland. The results of this was more growth hormones being pumped into his body. Unfortunately, Leonid passed away in 2014 after suffering a brain hemorrhage. When's the last time you took a shower or bath? Hopefully you're able to answer that question, and if not, hopefully you know what you're doing when you end reading this list. Don't feel too bad if it's been a few days, because for Amal Haji, it's been 60 years since he last bathed. Amal stopped bathing after a traumatic incident from his youth. Apparently content to embrace the title of being one among the world's filthiest men, Amal has been known to smoke cigarettes that he makes out of animal feces. Something tells me he's probably not obtaining a date anytime soon. Tom has a particularly rare condition called MGP syndrome. It's so rare that only 8 cases in the entire world have ever been reported. As a result of this syndrome, he has 0% fat in his body. This Englishman is a paracyclist and was additionally the 2011 National Paracycling Circuit Race Champion. Gary Turner suffered from an extreme case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that has weakened his skin. He can stretch his skin to extreme levels, as you'll be noticing within the above picture, that looks impossible to be done by any human. He performed several unbelievable stunts along with his skin, that he landed on this list, and is one of the man you probably won't believe is real. Do you recognize what's really comfortable after a long day at work? Relaxing on your bed. You know what might seem excessive? Not did your bed for 7 years, but then again, there are lots of things that are excessive about Patrick Duell. I don't assume anyone can argue when I say Patrick was at one point one of the heaviest men in the world, weighing in at an astonishing 1,023 pounds. As you know, being that heavy isn't exactly the healthiest, which implies that when Patrick needed to travel to the hospital, the only way they might get him there was by cutting a hole through his house. Patrick has undergone gastric bypass surgery and had lost over 500 pounds. Sadly, Patrick regained the weight and was hospitalized back in December. He passed away on April 29, with his weight reported to be over 900 pounds. He was 54. Sajjad Gharbi is a Persian guy you'll not need to mess with. This man is made out of only bones and muscles. He's in all probability the strongest man on the planet Earth. That he received the title the Iranian Hulk? Do you have a piercing? How did you are feeling about it beforehand? If you needed someone to speak to, perhaps look no more than Rolf Buchholz, who simply happens to be the most pierced man within the entire world. So much so, that he has over 100 piercings on his face and body. As you'll imagine, it's quite the sight to check, which means Rolf has been able to make a career out of making special guest appearances. I hope you aren't planning to see him in Dubai though, because the man was denied entry the last time he tried to enter the country. Given that he's additionally tattooed all over his body, you'll imagine Rolf would are quite the sight to see.